Hey, this is Helen Paradise from SoCal, and you are listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike your match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Good evening and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is a show where we talk about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling, broadcasting from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. And I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening's live fire, fun, and frivolity show. If you are anxious to take part in the show this evening through phone calls and emails, here's how you do that.
You can get in touch with the show by calling 216-220-0966. Email Greg at the BBQCentralShow.com. On the Twitter and Instagram, said BBQ Central Show.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening coming up in about 12 minutes from now. It is the second Tuesday of a brand new month, and you know what that means. It is a visit from none other than the creator of the most heavily trafficked barbecue and grilling website on the face of the earth. Meathead will be joining us for 14 and 35 pass per usual. We have some things to get into, not the least of which was Robert Moss's shooting down of Meathead's claim that Katz's Deli in New York City is the longest running and continuously owned, family-owned barbecue restaurant in the United States. If you were a fan of Robert Moss's segment a couple weeks ago, you would have heard him say, nice thought. In reality, as we do the research and we track down ages and who actually started this stuff, the original Katz guy was like 11 or 12 years old or whatever it was. So it was off by 11, 12 years, maybe more than that. You can go back and listen to the replay if you're really into hearing all of the particulars, which I would recommend. But we'll talk to Meathead about Robert Moss's research and then assertion that it is indeed not the oldest barbecue joint in America at this point. And we also will talk about a number of other things. We'll get the monthly update on where the rubs and sauces are as they are getting ready to launch. Rubs definitely first. Sauces were still on hold last month, at least for the foreseeable future. He was not very happy with those at all. But rubs definitely on track. We'll get an update on Meetup 2021. And with the remaining time, we'll talk about, because a lot of people like to call this grilling season is now underway. A lot of people think that Memorial Day weekend is when the grilling season really happens. But in advance of that, if you weren't somebody that went out and bought a new cooker during the COVID situation of a year ago, like a lot of people did, or added to the arsenal, and you're looking to do that this year, we'll go ahead and talk to you about ways we go about or advice that we give folks when they're asking us, what should we get? So that will be Meathead. Then we'll move to the second hour, and it's a reload from the 35 past the first hour last week. We attempted to connect with Len Aberman, the co-host of the Baseball and Barbecue podcast. That didn't work out. We had a very successful test last night. That can only mean one thing. Success on the test night means utter and disaster failure when it counts on Tuesday nights. But we're going to go ahead and think positive at this point and go from there. So I will reattempt to connect with Len Aberman. We will learn about his background. We'll learn about the show, Baseball and Barbecue. We'll talk about a whole bunch of cool things. So Len Aberman promising to be a good guest and showing a little stick-to-itiveness by coming on just a week after we attempted to connect. Closing out the show, everybody's favorite. If you've always wanted to call in the show, but you haven't found the right timing, The ever-popular open segment will find its way back into the show. I think first time this year, maybe second time. I have plenty of things to talk about. I have a Green Mountain Grill update that I want to talk to you about. I have something to share, not the least of which will be me reading a passage from my newest favorite book.
What?
My newest favorite book is what I'm telling you. And that says a lot for me because you know I love reading, right? It's one of my fave things to do. Love reading. But I will be reading a passage from my newest favorite book. I hope that has set the hook for an hour and 25 minutes from now. That's what's happening this evening. Don't forget you can follow me socially, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at BBQ Central Show. And /BBQ Central Show, Facebook, Twitch, /RD Rempe on YouTube. Those last three for video feedbacks. Listener feedback, or video feeds, listener feedback from the show last week. John in Arizona writes, Greg, catching up on the second hour today and really enjoyed the conversation between you and Sam, the cooking guy. I appreciate the story you shared with us and how it was creating havoc in your life. Glad you got out of it and into something that you like. First of all, John, appreciate you taking the time to write into the show, and I'm glad you found my recounting of the airline story of some benefit to you. And I can't believe I was talking with Sam, the cooking guy, offline a couple days later, and we were talking about that particular portion of the segment and how people get caught up into all this stuff. And I told him, and I didn't say this. In the worst, darkest hours of me, sales guy, becoming operations guy for that hellhole charter company, there was a definitive point in time when I was up in I remember this like it was yesterday. It was later in the evening. I had just gotten done doing something for work. I was trying to muster some kind of effort to put into the show prep for the show that was going to be happening. This was getting into a weekend. And I went upstairs into our bedroom. My wife's office was in the bedroom. And I was standing behind her, and I said, you know, I think I'm going to quit the show. I think it's over. I don't think that I can do this job with the airplanes and do the show. And I think I'm going to stop. I think I'm going to do one more show, and that's going to be it. This would have been sometime in 2014, getting into 2015. I think 15 was the last quarter of the year. That first quarter was the last months that I had worked there. And she said, you know what? No way. You're not going to quit the show because your day job is a travesty, a train wreck, causing you emotion. But the show is something you have done for years and years and years because you love it, because you're passionate about it, because you want to connect with people, because you want to spread the word, everything that you do that you have grown the show into. And you're not going to have that job quit the show for you. This isn't you talking. This is the job talking. You don't feel like that you can do both and that for some reason you feel like the show is the better option to quit. The better option to quit is the day job. There's no doubt about it. And she said, do you really want to quit the show? Is that what would make you feel better? And I said, no, of course it wouldn't. But I don't see any other way out of it. And she said, well, do it for another month and see what happens. And we'll reconvene after a month and we'll talk about it again. And if you still feel like you want to quit the show, then you'll do the show for another month. And then we'll reconvene again in a month and see how you feel after that. And by that time, I had already found another job and I had moved on to much bigger and better things as I remain now starting my 6th year next month with Peterbilt. But there was a very real and very poignant part in the show's lifespan where there was going to be no show. I was quitting the show. That's how bad that job, like I thought I did a pretty good job of painting the picture of how bad it was last week. But when I was talking to Sam offline and I told him that, he's like, why didn't you mention that when we were like, that seems to be a very pivotal point in your whole lifespan and the genesis of the show that there was a point where you were going to stop doing the show, and it wasn't because you didn't like the show or you offended somebody and you needed to leave or get canceled or whatever the case may be. It was because your job during the day was so bad it was going to cause you to quit the thing that you liked. Your passion for life was just getting sucked out of you from the job. That's something that you should have shared. And I said, you know what? When I come back on the following week, I'm going to mention it because in essence, not only in essence, in 100% truth, my wife has saved the show. That's nothing also that I've shared. But there was a very distinct point in time when there was going to be no show. Very real. Meathead is in the green room. We're going to get to him here in just a second. I'll talk to you quickly about Cosmo's Q. Based out of Oklahoma, Cosmo has been providing both backyards and competition cooks with very only the best rub, sauces, injection soaks, and brines. Their exclusive wing dust is also available on the market today, so get your hands on that. Best of all, everything made right here in the U.S. with all-natural ingredients. Cosmo's Q continues to break new ground in rub, seasoning, sauces, and injections, and the results not only proven on the competition trail year after year, but also in the backyards. More and more backyard warriors looking to take that barbecue game to the next level. No better or easier way to do that than by picking up World Championship quality rubs, sauces, injections, and marinades. And that's exactly what Cosmo's Q brings to your table. Not only is the barbecue game covered, but there's a whole line of products to help amp up the grilling game as well. By the way, Cosmo's definitely knows a thing or two about how to grill. He is a World Championship steak cook, if you didn't know. So look, if you want to head on over to the website, it's Cosmos with a K, K-O-S-M-O-S, Cosmos, then Q, the letter, then.com, cosmosq.com. Load up the cart with a whole bunch of stuff. And then at checkout, use promo code SPRINGBBQ10. Spring like the season, BBQ10, all one word. Spring BBQ10 will save you 10% off your entire order. So get on over there right now and load up. Don't forget, you can check out their YouTube channel, which is back up and running again, very popular. You can also check out their very popular recipe section on the website, cosmosq.com. That's K-O-S-M-O-S, Cosmos with a K, the letter Q.com, and use promo code SPRINGBBQ10 to take advantage of 10% off your entire order each and every time. Pass it around. Tell your friends that you saved a couple bucks using the Barbecue Central Show code SPRINGBBQ10. And we are back with Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome back. This portion of the show is brought to you by the Barbecue Guru, creators of automatic pit temperature control devices, ceramic cookers with built-in power draft fans, and accessories to make your barbecue and grilling life easier. Visit bbqguru.com for more information or give them a call at 800-288-GURU. The Barbecue Guru continues to be a breakthrough in barbecue technology. And when this song hits the airwaves, it can only mean one thing. It must be the second Tuesday of the month, and that brings a visit from this guy, Meathead from Amazing Ribs. Hey, Meathead. Meathead, I have no volume on you. Are you muted? Hello, Meathead. Uh-oh. I got nothing. So let me make sure. Yes, my buttons are good. Try disconnecting and reconnecting. This is one of those things, I guess. Here we go. Last week, Len Aberman, BBQ and what is it? Baseball and BBQ. And now, Meathead. Lacking in audio. That's all right. We'll get them worked out. Stand by.
Can you hear me now?
Hey, there he is. All right. Meathead is joining us from the windy city of Chicago.
You can hear me.
I can, yes. Very well.
My normal browser is Safari, but I use Chrome for this particular system.
Right.
And for some reason or other, the sound wasn't going through.
All right.
Well, we're back.
You sound great right now, and we are ready to rock here as we begin quarter number 2 of 2021, if you can believe it or not. We're in April.
Oh, my God.
So
is
it
really?
It is going by like a house of, I don't know if houses of fire go by, but it's going by at breakneck speed. Perhaps I might have noted in the first Tuesday of the month of this year, 2021 rapidly coming to a close, as we say.
So I got in around 5 after 8, and you were talking about reading a new favorite book.
Yes.
What was it? This, perchance?
Well, Meathead, it is not.
Andrew, you are not.
It is not the Cowboy Cook book. No, it is not.
I'm telling you.
You're not. I mean, you wouldn't. There's no way you would guess the book that I'm about to read passages from. But just know that if I'm saying it's my favorite new book, that should jingle something in your brain, and you should also be like, "Oh my God, he's going to read something out of a book."
Well, I know you don't read a lot, and I do. And I'd been telling you about this guy, Kent Rollins, and
he's coming on the show.
You can get him on.
Meathead, I told you last month I have him booked. I credited you.
You got the book?
No, I have him booked on the show.
Oh, okay. His book, I've been reading it cover to cover. I can't recall the last time I read a cookbook cover to cover. He's a wonderful storyteller, and the stories he tells about the life of a cowboy, real cowboy stories, are just wonderful. Give me
an excerpt, for instance. Give me one of your favorite portions. Paraphrase it. You don't have to read it.
I'll pick one out on break here. I don't want to waste you and the audience time.
Oh, right.
I'll pick one out on break. But every page and all the recipes are just full of stories about. Did you know that they sleep in teepees?
Who?
Yeah. Their greatest fear is crossing a river and being washed off their horse and downstream and never found again, because a lot of these cowboys don't know how to swim.
Cowboys' greatest fear is crossing a stream on the back of a horse?
Crossing a river. The Red River, the old Chisholm Trail, the Red River, getting swept off their horse. And his recipes all have wonderful stories.
Wow.
And the language, the lingo, the terminologies, the jargon. It's just, and he's a fine cook, and his recipes are just Americana.
Do you think, is it a reach to say that Kent Rollins is a true sockdologer?
A true what?
Sockdologer.
I don't know what that word means.
What? You don't know what sockdologer means? An exceptional person or thing?
No, I don't know. I don't know the word. He's a chuck wagon cook.
Oh, yes,
that's what he is.
That's his nickname.
I mean,
the chuck wagon
that is
cook?
the description. He's also now a cookbook author and a YouTube star.
Yes.
But he is a chuck wagon cook.
Yes, I am so looking forward to the conversation that will unfold here in just a matter of weeks between myself and Kent Rollins.
Do yourself a favor and buy the damn book and at least thumb through it before you talk to him, because it will generate a bazillion questions.
All right. I can guarantee.
Okay.
All right. I promise you I will get the book. Meathead, let's go ahead and get into some topics. First and foremost, we're a day past it, but why not bring it up since every day has the national everything? Yesterday was National Grilled Cheese Sando Day.
Oh,
And I saw
who
you post.
doesn't
What's your
love
favorite
grilled cheese?
What's your favorite grilled cheese?
Ham and cheese, simple. I mean, sometimes I'll go for a prosciutto or a capicola Italian hams, but good old fashioned American cheese. Now, what's interesting is there are some cheeses that melt well, and there are some that don't. You can't use just any old cheese in a grilled cheese sandwich. So you need to pick a good melting cheese, and you can make blends. Something like a Colby with jalapenos in it, fun. You want a moist cheese. These dry cheeses like a Parmesan or a Romano, not good for a grilled cheese sandwich.
Cheddar.
But the big controversy on grilled cheese sandwiches is do you coat the outside with butter or mayonnaise?
I say the answer is yes.
Either one, frankly. I've done both, and they both work just fine. Now, there's another controversy. Instead of coating the outside of the bread, do you melt the butter in the pan and then put the bread in the pan?
I find that to be a pain in the ass.
I agree. And the butter, if you do it with butter, the butter will brown.
Yes.
And it can burn.
Yes.
Now, the other thing is getting the cheese melted. And you want to put a lid on the pan to make sure the heat's trapped. But I say, what's the first word in this dish's name?
Grilled.
Thank you. Let's take it out to the grill.
Oh.
Let's make this baby up, butter it or mayonnaise it up, and put it on the grill and get some grill flavor on it. It's just wonderful that way. Put a little ham or prosciutto or capicola or pork cheeks or pardon?
A scungil?
No.
All right.
And maybe a thin slice of tomato and just grill it up and get some grill flavor on it. When you close the lid, it'll trap the heat and melt the cheese. You'll get some nice grill marks on it, and it will taste marvelous.
Can I take you to task on grilled cheese just for a moment?
I know you're going to take me to task on something else tonight. So
yes, that's right. So let me preemptively take you to task on another task taking. The minute that you add anything other than cheese, does it not then lose the essence of grilled cheese sandwich? If you put a ham in there, or capicola, or prosciutto, or salumi, or something along these lines, it is now grilled ham and cheese sandwich, or
fair question. Well, I mean, you can also look to France for the.
Nobody's looking to France for anything.
Okay, never mind. Ham and cheese.
Yes,
ham and cheese. They're classics together. I don't see anything wrong with throwing a little.
But you wouldn't go. Product. You wouldn't go to a restaurant and say, "Give me a grilled cheese," and then expect to have ham on it. You would order a grilled ham and cheese.
Interesting. I read a lot, and I read a lot of newspapers.
Are you bragging about that you read?
I read 3 newspapers every morning, and yesterday all the news feeds out there were filled with grilled cheese stories.
Of course.
And one of them was the 26 best grilled cheese sandwiches in New Jersey. And you flip through there, and these restaurants are styling, man. I mean, they're just doing all kinds of fun stuff with different kinds of breads and different kinds of cheeses and different kinds of, and they're putting, things like mustard in there and mayonnaise.
It's an Army grilled cheese. Did you know that? My dad used to make grilled cheese, regular grilled cheese, white bread, American cheese in the middle because that melts the best, and then he put a thin layer of mustard on top of the bread after it was done, and it was called Army grilled cheese.
I didn't know about that.
I don't know if they actually made that in the Army, but he called it Army grilled cheese. So I've had that before.
How about that?
It's delicious.
But who doesn't love grilled cheese? No.
You haven't had mustard on it?
No.
Oh,
nope,
you're missing out, meathead. You think pineapple's good off the grill. You gotta try grilled cheese with mustard.
I have at least 5 different mustards in my refrigerator at the moment. So I will try
Try a Plochman's first. Then if you're feeling frisky, I would say a French's. And then if you're really feeling froggy, then you can get into your grainy stuff. But I
All
just
right,
like the
Cleveland
plain
boy, you
yellow.
want to tell us the Plochman story?
No, Plochman is yellow. You're thinking of Berkman's, which is Berkman's
Berkman, that's
Ballpark.
it.
Yes, Berkman is the gray kind of horseradishy flavored mustard. It looks, I don't know, what's the word, unsightly? Or if you mention mustard, the color of this one isn't one that you would probably conjure up in your brain. However, on a steamed wiener in old Lakefront Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio, where even in the middle of the summer in July it was 30 below zero, it tasted magical. That bun and the Sugardale hot dog, which is native here to Cleveland, and then that Berkman's Ballpark mustard. It was a magic summer meal, I have to tell you. It's really good.
And it is the mustard of Cleveland.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not found very much outside of Cleveland.
No. Well,
But everybody in Cleveland has a jar of this in the refrigerator.
so much so that Iron Chef Michael Simon, who opened Mabel's Barbecue a number of years ago, who I've actually interviewed on the show, his only table barbecue sauce is made with Berkman's Ballpark mustard. It's a mustard-based barbecue sauce, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm. I love mustard-based barbecue sauces.
By the way, how's your mustard-based barbecue sauce working out?
We had to deep six it temporarily. I've been kind of trying to keep up the story going here, and you've been egging me on. But so for people who are late to the story, I have always avoided making a commercial product. I've always said we don't buy and we don't sell anything. We review products. We give away recipes, but I met the people from Old World Spices, and they tried to make the point. They made the point that our website is so well known, so popular, that we would do very well with a line of spices and sauces. So, we figured we'd give it a try. And we've hooked up with them back in December, and we are now at the final stages of the rubs, where they are going into production in the next week or two. We have finalized the label. We meet all the government label requirements. We're happy. It took us 3 iterations of we have 3 rubs: poultry, pork, and red meat. And it took us 3 iterations to get them where we like them. We started with recipes from AmazingRibs.com, but they're not the same by any means. And we're all really happy with them. They work really well. We've tested them. And so that's moving ahead. The sauces we've just not gotten anywhere. First of all, we signed up with these guys, and then we didn't find out that they don't make sauce. They use what is called a co-packer.
The co-packer uses a co-packer?
Yep.
Oh my God.
A co-pack. If you want to make a sauce or a rub, you go find what they call a co-packer, and that's somebody
I'm going to give you a piece of advice right here, because while you read 57 newspapers every day, big fucking deal, I'm a businessman. You tell these people at Old World Spices, F off with the sauce, and then call Matt Barber down in Wauchula, Florida, who's a sauce maker, and I guarantee that this guy is going to be able to put some sauce on your table, at least somewhere in the neighborhood, for you to sit here and say this late in the game, when your rubs are getting ready to go, that you've deep sixed the sauces at this point. That's
Absolutely.
Major. That's like saying you were going to write a second book and that you've never wait a second. Never mind. So I think you need to be dealing with a sauce guy and not a rub company that then subcontracts out the sauce. That's borderline unprofessional, in my opinion.
Well, we were kind of surprised too. and
why wouldn't they say that right up front? That's bullshit.
I don't know.
I'm calling them when we're off the show. I'm calling them directly on your behalf.
We sent them 2 sauce recipes, and one of them came back almost perfect. And the other one, the mustard one, was nowhere close. But the red one, the Kansas City style, was like almost exactly what we wanted. And then they told us, well, this was a bench sample. We made it up in our lab, but our co-packer will be the one who makes it. So we now pass it on to them. And what they made was just nowhere close. And we didn't realize, we're learning. And this is one of the pitfalls. If anybody out there is thinking about doing this themselves. We're learning. Find out in greater detail than I did how your co-packer does business. They don't do sauces, so they're going to send it out to a co-packer. Well, we are now shopping for co-packers. In fact, Greg, if you will send me an email with the info on the co-packer you just mentioned, I will talk to them. But we are nowhere with our sauce yet. We are done with the 3 rubs.
In the instant chat, a fellow Chicagoan, is that what they say? Steve Lulofs from Veterans Q Sauce and Rub says that there are plenty of really good co-packers right in the Chicagoland area.
Right. Tone is one of the biggest in the country. They're about 2 miles from my house. So yes, we will look into them. And my former right-hand man, Chef Ryan, is now working with Buddig, and Buddig is making Kingsford's barbecue, and he's recommending some. So there's co-packers out the wazoo.
Oh, for
it's
sure.
just that we thought by now we would also have 1 or 2 sauces ready, and we don't have any sauce ready. So we'll roll out with 3 rubs.
I'll send you Matt Barber's info. It's going to be. I think it would be worth reaching out to him. He might even have some better initial run options than some of these other guys that might demand.
Please, I'd be happy to talk to him.
Right. All right. So that's where we're at. So we're close with the rubs. Correct.
We're going to start production any day now.
Okay. And then when will they be ready for sale at that point?
I'm hoping by end of this month, maybe early in May.
All right.
But one of the reasons we chose Old World Spices is they have distribution relationships with most of the major hardware chains, with Lowe's and Home Depot and Ace. And so we'll go into their program and be sold alongside of the other sauces and rubs that they already make and sell to them. They don't sell to groceries. So we need to figure out if we want to sell in groceries, how to do that. And I haven't a clue. But I know it's a very nasty business.
What about Walmart? You want to get into Walmart?
Well, I'd like to, but I know that that's a pretty high hurdle. And I know that Malcolm Reed just broke into Walmart.
Yes.
And I know that's not easy to do. I haven't thought that far ahead. I just want to get these damned rubs on the market and see how the market responds to them. We like them, but that doesn't mean they're any good. That doesn't mean that people out there will like them. I'm optimistic, but and then I want to get these sauces made. So we'll see.
All right. Meathead from AmazingRibs.com is joining us here on the show. That is your monthly rub and sauce update. Sounds like the rubs will be ready, if not end of this month. Then we can look early part of next month. Meathead, hold on. I will do a piece of business, and then we will come right back. We'll talk about the 2021 meetup, and then we'll talk about what people should be looking for if they want to buy some grills and or barbecue pits here over the next couple months as we lead into the summer. Let me talk to you quickly about Big Papa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue, a curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies will get you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything over there has been Pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself. They have 13 perfectly balanced rubs and seasonings, popular flavors like Sweet Money, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, Double Secret Steak Rub, Regular Money, Happy Ending, the list goes on. They also own Granny's Barbecue Sauce. So if you're looking for a new go-to sauce that will please everybody, give Granny's a try if you're sick and tired of what's out there currently. And aside from the premium selection of rubs and sauces, they also have a great offering of pellet charcoal and wood cookers. If you're looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use, check out the Mac 2-Star General Pellet Cooker. Big Papa Smokers is the exclusive Mac dealer, even offering special packages. Not a fan of pellet smokers? All right. Take a look at the Old Hickory Ace BP, the only charcoal smoker that Big Papa trusts on his competition trailer. And if you're not sure of what grill you need, you can't go wrong with anything they're offering. You can call with your questions, 877-828-0727. That's 877-828-0727, or shop their website at bigpapasmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA smokers.com. And we are back with more Meathead from AmazingRibs.com right after this. Stick around.
Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
This portion being brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. Visit cookinpellets.com. That's COOKIN, cookinpellets.com for more information or to purchase or to look at some of their other products. You can also buy from Amazon.com as well. And we are rejoined by Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. All right, Meathead, so where are we? Last month it was still full go on the 2021 meetup in Memphis. Are we still a go on that?
No. We pulled the plug.
Oh, dear.
We pulled the plug.
All right, what happened?
We had sold it out. 400 attendees was maximum capacity. We had about 12 of the 16 exhibitor spaces sold out. But people started canceling. They're still concerned about COVID. It was scheduled for the last weekend in August. The hope is that by then we will be approaching herd immunity. But there are enough people who are concerned that that won't be the case, that there may still be travel advisories that will prevent them from traveling. So we pulled the plug. This is the second time. We had it scheduled in 2020. We rescheduled it for August 21, and now it is scheduled for March 18 through 20 in Memphis. Same hotel, same schedule, same speakers, same plan, but we've pushed it back till March. The weather will be nicer in Memphis in March than it will be in late August. This COVID thing has just screwed everybody's lives up. And, hey, I'm alive, and it could be a lot worse.
Does the hotel and, I don't know what the logistics are, but are you having to touch base with everybody and saying, hey, it's not panning out the way we thought it would, and can we move back yet another set of months? And everybody's like, yeah, no problem.
We have reached out to everybody to tell them that it's been canceled. We have this odd problem. Not everybody reads their emails. And we're really trying to make sure that everybody is notified. I have this nightmare that at the end of August, people are going to fly into Memphis and show up at the Peabody, and there's nothing there. So we're getting ready next week to send out another newsletter to everybody who's registered and tell them, click this link to confirm you have read this fucking email.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Those who don't click the link, we're going to call them on the phone to make sure they know that we've changed the program. That's an issue out there. We haven't signed the final contract with the hotel yet. That should be done any minute now. But there's this really fascinating clause for this sort of events in hotel contracts. It's called the force majeure clause, which is essentially means acts of God. And it's a bunch of legalism that says under what circumstances can you cancel without paying a penalty. And we're having a little tug of war over, right now my fear is that there are new varieties of this virus cropping up. And if everybody gets vaccinated, then they have very little chance of catching on. But if a large percentage of the population doesn't get vaccinated, then these new varieties can take off. And they may not be they may be resistant to some of the vaccinations. So we're concerned by the great number of people who won't get vaccinated. And will there be another wave of a subsequent virus by March? And so we're trying to build into the contract a clause that will give us an escape. Hotels are not fond of that idea.
Can you, at this point, can you just cancel it and say no expectations going forward other than we will do another one, but not until everything clears up to our satisfaction? And
yes,
that way
we
you're
can.
not on the hook.
We're
Why not do that?
We're discussing that. Pardon?
Why not just do that now? You don't want to get to March again potentially and then have to back out again. It's going to start to look bad, and through no fault of your own, right?
Yeah, we're discussing it. I mean, it's just that we've put so much energy into it and so much time into it, and it's an idea whose time has come. That there's never been a conference, a festival, a nationwide get together for people who love the barbecue, for your audience. I'm just reluctant to give up on it. But yeah, it's definitely on the table.
But here's the good news. I understand emotionally that you don't want to throw in the proverbial towel at this moment, but all of the groundwork has been laid. All of the work has put in. So you can take this and then just set it off to the side. You don't have to relearn from ground zero. You can just, at the point everybody feels comfortable, both from a consumer side, both from an amazing rib side, from a hotel side, all of that. Once everybody feels good, then you just go back and pick these boxes up, put them back down, and then you can quickly start from where you left off. So it's not a complete rebuild. But don't let emotions get in the way of a decent business decision at this point and say, hey, you know what? We want to do. Nobody wants to do this more than us for all of the reasons that you just said that. But we can't do it in good faith, knowing that there's maybe a pretty good chance at this point that when March approaches, we're going to be pushing off again until that June, or then again through that fall. And who wants to keep doing that?
Yeah, no, you've got a great point there, and that's very much on my mind. We were smart, and we put essentially all the down payments and deposits that people made, and they're all sequestered. So, I mean, if I have to make full refunds, I can do it. But your advice is being considered.
Meathead, I had Robert Moss on a few weeks ago, and boy, oh boy,
I listened to that.
Now, look, this is nothing. I didn't have anything to do with this. He was getting ready to come on for another segment. He said, "Oh, by the way," just kind of threw a little grenade my way and said, "Oh, by the way, I'll have something to follow up on Meathead's Katz's Deli claim that they're the oldest, continuously family-run, whatever the whole deal is, in the country." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's odd. Maybe it's even older than we think." And then,
well, let me lay the background here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have stated with a great deal of irony that it appeared to me that Katz's Delicatessen in Lower Manhattan on Houston Street, not Houston,
right,
is the oldest barbecue joint in America, which ticks some people off no end because it's a Jewish deli, but they have been smoking brisket specifically to make pastrami and sausages and salamis and other things since 1888. And I thought that made them, therefore, the oldest barbecue joint in America. And I had said so in print. And you can take it from here.
And then Robert came on a couple weeks ago and quickly tracked down the beginnings of Katz's Deli. And it wasn't originally named Katz's Deli. And then this Katz fellow joined any number of years later with the original two owners, I think it was, and then eventually ended up buying them. But the time frame that Robert Moss ended up laying was somewhere between 11 and 15 years off of what we were originally thinking when you and I were talking, to the point where the Katz that was buying in originally was, like an adolescent at that point. I mean, he wasn't 18 even to be an adult by age and then run a business. So it was quite a sizable chunk taken out of what we thought might be the oldest running barbecue joint. And then somehow, of course, the oldest barbecue joint makes its way back down to Texas, of course, because they got to have everything. Except a working electrical system. They don't have that, but they want to have everything else.
I think Moss determined that the continuous operation and of the brand and the location and everything was somewhere around 1910, not 1888, as I had stated.
Yeah, I think that was right. Yeah, right around 1910.
Yeah, no, I was basing my information on Katz's, and that turned out to be a mistake. Mr. Moss, who is the leading culinary historian in the barbecue space, took his time and energy to research it and found out the facts.
And it was pretty neat. Good story. Laid.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like to see Meathead get corrected ever, by the way. We don't. I dislike that more than anybody except you. But he was very researched and thorough, and it was a cool story to hear on top of all that. So pretty cool.
I don't recall the name. What was the barbecue joint in Texas? One of them,
Southside Market and Barbecue, I think is
Southside,
is
right? They
to
sponsor you.
Yeah. Well, they've done so for a number of years. Elgin, Texas, is the one.
Now the issue there is they actually shut down for about 4 or 5 years, and there was this gap in their history. So I don't know. I don't know how all this shakes out.
Is that,
but
Meathead, I don't want to go journalist on you, but
operating.
Do you know that they were not continuously operating? Do you know that to be true, as you once coined the phrase?
I'm pretty sure. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's on their website, among other things.
All right. So I'm sure Robert Moss is feverishly penciling this down to check when he comes back on.
He knows this.
So
he knows everything.
That's right. So and plus, he's a guy that is on the Barbecue Hall of Fame Names Committee, which... by the way, we are 7 days away from the nominations being shut down for 2021. So if there's somebody in the barbecue community that you feel has a name that is worth putting in the hopper to be considered, you've done a justice, because that person's name will remain in what I affectionately refer to as the big holding tank for 5 years. And then if that name eventually gets through the, let's call it the... what did they call them? What was the mafia syndicate in New York City called? Between the five families,
man?
Oh my God! I just watched it. Doesn't matter.
Am I going to be a made man?
Yeah, no, you can't be a made man because you're not from Sicily and you're not Italian. So you have to. Those are two big.
I married an Italian.
To get not good enough for you to be a made man. But I think it was called the corporation or something along those. So the five families would meet, and they deciphered all the business that was going around New York City at that point.
The family.
But this is something akin to that. So if the names are all the names in the Big Hopper are talked about, and then somehow they whittle it down to 9, we call that the semifinalist. And I'll talk about more about that in the second hour. Culminating a few weeks later after a vote. The 3 finalists that will make up then the class of 2021's Barbecue Hall of Fame. So we'll see if you happen to cross back over that fence again for a 3rd year in a row.
The Susan Lucci. I believe there's also there now this
Legacy.
category, the legacy category,
yes.
In which is separate now, I guess, from the other category. I'm not really clear on it. I've been nominated twice and not elected yet, I hope. But I'm just not paying that much attention this year, which probably is a good idea. But the legacy category used to be, there were just 3 people picked every year. Now they've split it into 2 categories, and the legacy category includes people like Lem from Lem's Barbecue in Chicago, who has been deceased for a number of many years. But that's, I think, a nice move, a good idea.
So I think what they're trying to accomplish here, I'll get more from Emily Park in a couple weeks. The legacy portion of this, and that will be announced when the 2021 class is also announced. These are all members that have passed away. And I think there was some kind of a, I don't know, not letdown, but I think there's an expectation that you want to see living Hall of Fame members take their awards and give a speech and all this stuff. And obviously people that have passed away are currently unavailable to do that going forward.
Probably their worst nightmare would be 3 dead people got in.
Yeah, because then you're, either nobody shows up for it or an extended family, nobody has the buy-in, whatever. So now they have this legacy category where I think they were going to put in at least 3 to 5 every year of folks that have passed away, and then they will have their
great sense.
Yeah, of course. And that way,
historically, there's some really great people.
And it's more than just 3 people going in every year. I mean, typically now we could be looking somewhere between 5 to 8, maybe 10, depending on how many legacy members are going to be putting in each and every year. So we'll see how that unfolds. But you have the point of the matter, as we broached away from it, is you have exactly 1 week to nominate somebody if you feel that they are worthy of consideration from the names committee. Just pop them in there. Then you don't even have to do it again for another 4 or 5 years. Their name is good in that hopper for 5 years. It recirculates, and eventually they will decay off, and you would have to vote for them again.
Well, I think, if you're thinking about nominating somebody, you might think about somebody who has a special place in the world of barbecue, who owns a unique perspective,
Yep.
maybe perhaps the only real broadcaster in the barbecue universe, who has interviewed just about everybody under the sun and educated vast numbers of people about cooking technique and competition. That kind of person might be a good person to nominate.
Well, I don't know about that, but that sounds like me. So go ahead. Have at it if you're so inclined. Likewise, of course, Meathead. I mean, you've crossed over into the finalists now twice in as many years, so we'll see if you make it. But I think you make it into the 9 this year. I would bet at least 200 of my special dollars that you would cross into the Hall of Fame in 2021, and we'll see if that happens. But I've been pretty good at betting.
I'd be flattered and honored.
Yes, no doubt about it. So Meathead from AmazingRibs.com joining us here. We got a couple minutes left. Meathead, let's talk about your advice. This has got to be, easily one of the most rampant questions, especially this time of the year, is I want to get a new cooker, or which new cooker should I get? So instead of saying buy a this brand or a that brand, what are 3 or 4 things that you always, from a high level, tell people that they want to figure out first before they then go buy a name brand, this or that?
Well, let's approach it this way. If you had enough room in your backyard and you wanted to have a arsenal, I would start with a really good charcoal grill that you could divide into 2 zones, because grilling, high temperature, searing, steaks, burgers requires 2-zone cooking, a hot zone and a cool zone. So I would start there. I would look for something with a lid that is fairly tight so you can control airflow. Then I would consider a gas grill. The advantage of gas grill is it's quick, it's easy, it's simple, there's much less cleanup. But if you can, look for something with a really good infrared burner. Now, those infrared burners, especially the ones that are ceramic honeycombs, can get really fantastically hot, steakhouse hot. And I'm here to tell you, and I know there's going to be a lot of groaning and moaning out there when I say this, but with one of those sear burners, you would be very hard-pressed to tell the difference between a steak cooked over one of those and cooked over a charcoal grill.
Oh, my.
It's all about infrared energy. It's all about energy, not heat, not temperature. It's energy, and we can get into the physics and everything. But when charcoal is fully lit and giving its maximum energy, it doesn't give out a lot of smoke. Charcoal is for heat. Wood is for flavor.
Yes.
You use the wood to flavor. So, charcoal grill, gas grill. You need a smoker. There's a lot of sexiness in an offset smoker, but they're difficult to operate. And if you're going to do it right, you really need to tend to them, stay by them. If you're burning logs, especially, if you want something that looks macho, look at one of these barrel smokers. They look like a 55-gallon drum. Some of them have gotten very creative, very clever. And they're not terribly expensive, and they look macho. They're going to make you look like a real man.
Total.
And they smoke lovely. If you want something that is really easy to operate and money is no object, set it and forget it, look at a pellet smoker. These are not good for grilling. They're not good for searing a steak. They're essentially an oven, like your indoor oven. It's a lot of warm air, but you can get a nice, delicate smoke flavor. You're not going to get that big, strong smoke flavor you get when you burn logs. But they're set it and forget it. You can walk away. A lot of them have apps that will run on your smartphone that allow you to control them with your smartphone. I'm not a fan of the app world. I mean, I pretty much just I have a Mac 2-Star. You mentioned them earlier. Big Papa Smokers sells them. I love my Mac 2-Star. And it has Wi-Fi. I don't use it. I just, I set it and I walk away. I'll occasionally go out there and stick a thermopen in there or something, but I don't need to monitor it on my smartphone. The other thing that I think is hot right now and is very inexpensive, around $200, are these griddle units. These are flat tops like you see in Joe's Diner. Great for doing eggs sunny side up, for doing bacon, burgers, and get a good flat. Get your diner burgers sear, smash burgers.
Yep.
Even hot dogs and sausages, and they're cheap, very inexpensive. That's a pretty thorough arsenal right there. Am I skipping anything, Greg?
No, I think that sounds pretty good to me. You almost got one of everything. You got the gas grill, you got the charcoal grill, you have a offset or barrel cooker if you want to use one of those, and then, as you said, you have the flat tops are all the rage right now. So they got accessories that you can put on a charcoal or a gas grill if you don't want to get a standalone unit. But I say as many as your wife or significant other will allow you to get in space that you have in the backyard. Why not load up and not be cornered by anything?
Now, if you don't have all that space, you can take a charcoal grill and set it up so that it can smoke very nicely. For example, the Weber kettle, there's an insert for it called the Slow and Sear, which does a great job of creating a 2-zone system, and it also improves your searing if you're doing steaks. So you don't necessarily need the smoker, but you can't smoke a lot of product that way. It's small amount of real estate. But you can still do 2 or 3 slabs of ribs or a brisket, and you don't need a big smoker. If you don't want to buy a griddle, you can buy a griddle topper that goes on your gas grill.
Yep.
You can get a cast iron from, what's the cast iron company that's?
Lodge.
Lodge, thank you. Lodge sells a really nice cast iron griddle. Or a frying pan. You can use a cast iron frying pan on top of your gas grill and get the same effect. So there are shortcuts you can take. You don't have to have one of each. But that pretty much is the range of cooking styles, and each of them gives you unique flavors.
Variety is the spice of life. This is what we have learned
Amen.
with Meathead. You can find him, of course, at AmazingRibs.com, and you can find him here on the second Tuesday of every month here in the first hour. Meathead, always appreciate the time.
Hey, always great talking to you and the Centralites in Cleveland, Ohio.
All right, there he is, Meathead, everybody. Yeah, from the Windy City. Don't worry, Meathead. I will get you that contact information for one Matt Barber as soon as the show ends this evening. Mentioning pellet cookers, by the way, I'll talk to you quickly about Green Mountain Grills. A couple different choices to choose from. A choice line and a prime line. If you want to save a couple bucks, you don't need the app stuff that Meathead had talked about or some of the other technology. Choice line is the right one for you. Now, if you want to kick it up a little bit, if you like app control and Wi-Fi connectivity and internal meat probes, things of this nature, Prime Plus is the one you want to look at. Again, a little bit more, however, more of a robust build on the chassis, peak-in windows in the main cooking chamber, pellet hopper, 2 internal meat probes, app connectivity, Wi-Fi connectivity, all that fun stuff. Even lights on the inside of the cooker if you want. It's up to you. They sell through a dealer network, so find one near you, then go to the dealer, get educated, take it home, and you'll have success right off the bat. It's greenmountaingrills.com. That's greenmountaingrills.com, and we are back to wrap the first hour right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content, in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
This portion being brought to you by Fireboard 2, Fireboard 2 Drive, and Fireboard 2 Pro. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring, or connect via Bluetooth if you have Alexa or the Google Assistant in your home. You're in luck because Fireboard is fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. That's Fireboard 2, Fireboard 2 Drive, and Fireboard 2 Pro. That's right. All right, we thank Meathead for joining us for the 2 segments last hour. This hour, I guess I should say. Oh, no. I'm not ready for that. I got to quickly dash over to this so I can talk diligently. Does that get me where I want to go? Could be. AmazingRibs.com. That's AmazingRibs.com. That's for Meathead. You can find him here on the second Tuesday of the month, and that was some good high-level information on if you're looking to add things to the arsenal during the grilling and barbecue season in 2021. We are heading to the second hour of Fresh Libations, and we'll be right back. Stick around.
Hi, this is Jeff Richards, Columbus, Ohio. You're listening to Barbecue Central. Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how you doing?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 2 feet for wiener.
Oh, listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. Welcome to the Barbecue Central Show. We do it live here every Tuesday from 9 to 11 p.m., recording at the same time, giving you podcast capabilities before anybody else has done that. Still to come on this show this evening, Len Aberman of the Baseball and Barbecue Podcast. Hopefully, we're looking forward to that. Don't forget, you can follow me socially at BBQ Central Show on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Snapchat /BBQ Central Show, Facebook, and Twitch for a live video feed. Also one over at /RD Rempe. That's RDREMPE, RD Rempe at YouTube. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less this Friday, we bring you 172 episodes. Not all at once, but this is episode 172. Taking you back all the way to April 10th, 2012, when I was, that's 9 years ago, if you can believe it. 9 years? 9 years ago. Somebody that created the outdoor cooking channel, Kevin Bevington, was on the show. And while I was very poor in my prep this time around for the promo, I can tell you we talked about stick burners, and in the description line it says stick burner nothingness. I don't really know what that means, but I do recall one of the initial conversations that I had with Kevin. But here's what you need to know. First of all, I harp about audio quality on the show. My audio quality, always constantly trying to refine and sound better. Guest audio quality, trying to figure out a way to have them have an in-studio sound when at all possible. It's not going to happen every time. Sometimes a guest is going to be a last-second book, and it's going to be phone. That's just the way it's going to be. But if I get enough time, We can encourage people to buy USB mics, which might seem like a dick move to some people, but realize that this is helping you sound better in all aspects of your life, not just for my podcast interview, but maybe you do a lot of Zoom calls for work. Well, now you can sound really good. You can be the sounds good person on your Zoom call. Plus, makes you sound really professional. I was talking, well, I better not say anything. I'll back out of that. I'm redacting that, retracting it. Going to go kayfabe on that. Anyway, here's what you need to know about Kevin. This guy sounded like he was in the studio way before I had such an OCD about my sound quality and guest sound quality. He sounds magical. That's number one that you need to know when you listen to this Friday episode. Secondly, if you don't know who Kevin Bevington is, back in the day, there were few pitmasters ever that accomplished what Kevin Bevington did during his real get-down time on the barbecue competition circuit. He owned the Florida Barbecue Association competition circuit. Was team of the year for Florida Barbecue Association 5 years in a row. 5 years in a row. And at that point, FBA was really in a comeuppance. There was a lot of good teams that were coming out of Florida. There was a lot of Florida KCBS rivalry. Like, Florida guys can go into KCBS contests and do well, but KCBS guys can't come down to the FBA contests and do as well as we do. A lot of macho things going on there. Also, at least 2 or 3 times within that 5 years of Kevin winning the FBA 5 years in a row, Kevin was top 10 in KCBS same year. And he lives in Oviedo, Florida, which is like Nowheresville on the Gulf side. Like literally nothing. They were building cities the last time that I was in Oviedo from scratch. It was crazy. But he was finishing top 10, team of the year, not like top 10 in our competition. Team of the year, top 10 KCBS, and he was team of the year in FBA. Team of the year 5 years in a row, FBA. Plus, he was FBA president for a run as well. And within some of our conversations, Kevin ran a Lang, and he talked in depth about how to run a Lang, how to run a clean fire, and the amount of airflow that's moving through it. I mean, there was a lot of great information we were talking about that. I think eventually Kevin moved off of stick burners and into pellet cookers when they became fashionable, solely because, you know, people wanted to get sleep. People were changing how competitions were going. They weren't staying up all night and getting blasted. So look for episode 172 this coming Friday. You do have to be subscribed to the podcast feed in order to get it. And if you have something specific that you would like John to make up for you, if you have a long-distance request and dedication, then hit John up, John, Jon, at thebbqcentralshow.com. Scott in Pittsburgh writes, Greg, as a quick introduction, you and I met once before at the Grill Fest at Hartville Hardware in Ohio. This was the year prior to COVID, and BBQ was the guest cook. I was the guy that traveled in from Pittsburgh. You'll probably be holding that against me very shortly. Oh, boy, nothing like a foreshadow, Scott. I'm writing to let you know that I'm afraid that I may have jinxed you when it comes to your audio issues over the last number of weeks. On March 15th, I submitted your name to the Barbecue Hall of Fame for consideration for the class of 2021. The next night you had Marissa Overson on, you experienced the audio repeat issue on your end. I felt bad for you and thought to myself, geez, I hope the folks at the Hall of Fame don't take this minor issue into consideration. It's a double uh-oh. The following week was take 1 on Sandy Brown. She had the issues with the thunderstorm, and I think to myself, wow, what are the odds? Then she was on for a follow-up interview the next week, and all seemed to be going well. Then her feed crapped out again. At this point, I'm starting to convince myself that this is turning into a full-on curse. Oh! Then we get into this past week, and Len Aberman, who does podcasting full-time, a Beyond Reproach pro, and even Len was unable to connect with you. Not to mention, Doug calling in from a possible hurricane. Yes. Go back and listen to that. And then I quickly, like Doug helping me out, and true dick Greg Rempe move, I just dismissed Doug. Doug, I gotta go. The wind. Anyway, I get back to it. Apparently, nothing good can come from a Pittsburgh guy trying to support a Cleveland guy. I feel I must be doing something, or I must do something to break this curse I have brought upon you. If this involves me wearing a Cleveland Brown shirt while grilling, I will gladly do so to break this curse for you. Here's hoping the gremlins have left the system. Love the show. Love you, Scott. By the way, I see Scott in the instant chat. Scott weighing in on the instant chat as I thought he might. When Meathead's audio wasn't working tonight, I about died. What are the chances, Scott? Let's blame that one on Meathead. Let's also thank Doug for not calling in and another windstorm. I got to tell you, I am really anxious going into the next segment with Len Aberman. But we'll see what happens. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen? We go to Len, the camera's on, I say, hey, Len, and we get crickets. That's the worst thing that could happen. I'm hopeful that that isn't going. I'm hopeful Scott's email that I should have pre-read and then eliminated immediately to hopefully not induce any more further hijinks and or hoodwinkedness. Man, oh man. Fingers, toes, cross, and praying to my Lord and Savior, Lord Baby Jesus Christ. And we'll see how it goes from here. But Scott, thank you for writing into the show. Now, many of you were also asking, what was the next day like from the Reaper Jerky Challenge? Let me say this. Everything was fine. I will say this. If you like hot stuff, then you want to buy a box or a case of the Reaper Jerky from Malcolm's shop. It was hot. I'm not going to lie. You can see it on the video. Even Doug texted me after the fact. He's like, hey, listening to it on audio was funny. Watching on it, completely different level. Completely different level of hilarity watching you suffer. There was that one point where I'm talking and I'm like, bleh. It caught me out of nowhere. Caught me out of nowhere. Look at this guy, Doug Scheiding weighing in. I am used to it after 6 years. Beaten like a redheaded stepchild. 8-pound, 6-ounce baby Jesus. We are praying, Doug. We are praying, Doug. Absolutely. All right, well, I see that Len Aberman is in the green room. So we have 50% of the battle once again reestablished and working in our favor. We'll see what happens after that. I'll talk to you quickly before Pits and Spits, before we give it another whirl. Since 1983, handcrafting smokers and grills in Houston, Texas. In that time, Pits and Spits establishing itself as one of the premier brands in high-quality offset smokers and more recently pellet cookers. Pits and Spits setting itself apart by using heavy 7 and 10 gauge steel in every cooker, fully welded construction that you can feel when you use the unit, and 304 stainless roll-top lids and front shelves on every single smoker. Why does it matter? Well, by using higher quality materials, Pits and Spits smokers reach and maintain temperatures, allowing you to worry more about the meat than the heat. And by providing a fully welded smoker, you don't have to worry about grease and smoke leaking out of the barrel, that grill rattling apart as you move through the backyard. And by using 304 stainless, you have an heirloom quality cooker to pass down to the kiddos if they want it. They probably won't, but just in case. Now, where some companies are focusing on low cost only, the whores of the business, Pits and Spits focuses on craftsmanship and using quality materials. Are there cheaper ways to make these? Sure, look around. But they don't like tack welds, cheap stainless, electronics you can't trust. Having in-house manufacturing gives them complete control of their design and standards. Not something you find with other products. Their steel suppliers supply material to be used in some of the harshest environments around. So you know they're going to perform in all conditions, like New York City, and Cleveland, Ohio, and Texas. The list goes on. Plus, the controllers that they use are made right here in the States. They have unimpeded transparency into the programming. Pits and Spits has a dealer network. If there isn't one close to you, give Coy in the shop a call, 844-650-6250. Whether you're backyard grill master like me or a competition cook, Pits and Spits has a product for you. You can check them out at pitsandspits.com, all spelled out, or see their Pits in the Wild across social media with our handle at Pits and Spits. Len Aberman is all I need to say. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
This portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet, currently available in 2 sizes, and a host of accessories to complete your pit barrel cooking experience. Whether you're a beginner or professional, definitely a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them the Barbecue Central Show sent you. Let's try this again. Hey, did you know that baseball season is now underway? Yes. Since the last time I did, Cleveland Indians have strung a fairly nice win streak together before a loss last night. Did you also know that barbecue goes great with baseball? Well, it does. So much so that my next guest made a podcast that covers both topics, and we are ready to talk about both during this segment tonight. So let's go ahead and race to the hotline and welcome first-timer and co-host of the Baseball and Barbecue podcast, Len Aberman, joining me. Hey, Len!
Hello!
We've done it, Len! How about that?
Yes!
New York
Woo!
and Cleveland
Okay.
mashing together. All right, so we can just call it off. That's the show. Everybody,
Drop
good night,
the
everybody.
mic.
Thank you very
What?
much. All right. Thank God we've done it. And
Drop
away we
the
go.
mic.
Away we go. Len, thank you for joining me and backing me up in successive weeks. By the way, Len's podcast, as I had mentioned, Baseball and BBQ, and you can find them over at their website, baseballandbbq.weebly.com. We'll talk about that in a second. Let me tell you something, Len. I was listening to your show as I do in the mornings as I'm getting my run in against my better judgment. The run, not the show listen. And lo and behold, I hear a little bit of a recap of what was supposed to be a Len Aberman appearance last week. And at first I was like, oh, that's cute. But your co-host, let's call him Jeff Cohen, because rule number 1, no names please of the show. But we'll make up a name and say Jeff Cohen. This guy seems to be really having quite a good time at your expense, saying things like, you sounded great. Well, couldn't hear you, of course, so I understand the backhanded compliment. And, look, let's be honest, Len, between you, me, and the fence post, everybody knows that listens to that show. You are the talent on the team. You have stepped up the audio game. I mean, Jeff still sounds like he's trapped in the basement being held a hostage like some young teen here in Cleveland, Ohio for 10 years. I mean, come on. You know the ledge, Jeff. You know the ledge. Am I right, Len?
You know what? I love my co-host, okay? Jeff's the best, and I'm going to tell you right now that we have a benefactor, a show benefactor.
Oh, my.
None other than your friend and mine, Doug Scheiding, who actually reached into his pocket, took out some shekels, and sent a microphone to Jeff.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
so I want to thank him.
I've never known Doug to be anything less than incredibly charitable, happy to pass
Yes.
along a few thin guilders if he has opportunity. Let's not
And he
dismiss
did.
the fact, by the way, that as much as Doug is helping Jeff, this still puts Jeff on the hot seat. Why the sweet fuck has this guy just decided to go against the grain? He sees you step up in mic quality, and it's like, no. I'm going to sit back here and podcast like 1975, hell or high water. I mean, have you not had conversations about, hey, it's a pandemic, Jeff. let's step up the game and help people's sickness and try and, encourage them to not decide to pick death upon listening to the show during when you talk.
Well, I think he went for a higher grade of tin can and string.
Yes.
So I think he definitely upgraded there.
Very good.
So.
All right. Having a little fun at Jeff's expense, because I love to do that when people cannot defend themselves, because I am pussy number one in this world. I like to run from fights when they occur, but nevertheless, we're talking with co-host of the Baseball and Barbecue podcast, Len Aberman. Len, let's go ahead and get a quick background about you professionally, personally, and then we'll talk about the podcast itself and how it came to be.
Okay, well, I am what I am. I am I wanted to be a sports writer from a very young age, and so when that did not become my career, I said, well, how can I, do something that was in those lines? And everybody has a podcast these days, so we were the last two. We were the last two that didn't. So we said, what goes great together? Baseball and barbecue, like a Reese's peanut butter cup. And we came up with this idea to do a podcast. There's so many baseball podcasts out there. There's so many barbecue podcasts out there. Yours being the number one. Greg, you are the GOAT of barbecue podcasts. You are welcome. So we came up with baseball and barbecue, which is unique. And sometimes we have guests that are baseball related, sometimes barbecue related, and sometimes they are, as we like to say, the perfect guest, and they enter both realms.
How long have you been doing the show at this point?
God, it's going to be 4 years in December.
Wow. So, I mean, certainly you have outlasted a lot of podcasts. I mean, you go through any podcast directory or platform, you search through some type of a topic that you think you might have an interest in. And then what I like to do after I search through the topic and you get the returns is see when was the most recent podcast posted. And quickly you realize that there are billions and billions and billions of podcasts out there. Most of them have pod faded long before you're like, oh, well, that seemed like it would have been a really good podcast, but they haven't produced any content in 4 years. And then there's nothing worse than listening to stuff that's really old, but it was really good. And you wondered, what the hell happened? Why didn't it continue? How were you guys able to put together, like when you were getting into the beginnings of this, you come up with the concept, baseball and barbecue, it separates you. As you said, you have an opportunity to draw from two different segments. You could have, as you call it, the perfect guest to talk about both coherently or at least to some degree of knowledge. When you're putting the show together, did you and Jeff have basic benchmark concepts that you wanted to hit that you could repeat every show to make that show happen each and every week, or whenever the release was going to be that you decided on initially?
We had delusions of grandeur. We thought, if we enjoyed speaking about these topics, everybody's going to want to listen to what we have to say because, we're just basically, if we were callers to a radio show, that's what we would be. We'd be the callers. But we just started talking about it. We really didn't know anything about putting out a podcast. At the time, we even took the free service. On the podcast platform. So after 90 days, our episodes left. They didn't even stick around till we actually paid for the service. And then we got lucky. It was right around, actually it was getting close to February. So it was going to be Black History Month. And Jeff had the idea, I wonder if we should do something on the Negro Leagues, the baseball. And he looked it up. There happened to be a museum in Kansas City. And we contacted them thinking we would get someone on, just from the museum to maybe come on.
Yeah.
And it ended up, we got the president of the museum, Bob Kendrick, who we've had on twice now. One of the greatest storytellers that you'll ever hear. Knows his baseball, but the way he tells a story is incredible. And came on. We didn't realize how well known this guy is, and the museum came on. And from there, we just kept booking guests, and I think really, we joke, but Jeff is really the one who keeps us on track. We try and come out every 2 weeks with an episode, and sometimes we come out with bonus content, as you do as well, and which is fantastic, and we try to do that. But he keeps us on track because it's it's whether the time you put in, it's like when you volunteer for an organization and they tell you, oh, an hour a week and that's all you need. No, this is, it's almost like a second job, an enjoyable job, but it's definitely a job, and he keeps us on track. We book the interviews, we do the recordings, he edits, we have to write up the blurb about it. We have to do, like you said, we this week we spoke about the calamity of being on your show with no sound, and release the episode.
Len Aberman joining me here on the show, co-host of Baseball and Barbecue, a twice per month, or with some bonus content every now and again. Baseball.weebly, baseballandbbq.weebly.com. And, of course, you can just go to any of the podcast platforms and search for that and go ahead and subscribe that way. As I'd mentioned, you guys have made it past most podcasts from a longevity standpoint. So as you look back on what is going to be 4 years, are there one or two most important things that you contribute your success to?
One thing that I think is our sound has gotten better, and you are definitely not trying to blow smoke here.
Please blow away.
You are definitely an influence. You have been a great mentor. People should know that I started to email you. You email right back. I've never seen anyone email back quicker, and you advised me on the microphone, which was very important. So at least one of us sounds good, right?
Yes. I think both of us sound really good right now.
We do, yes. Yeah. And once I used to go to record in the same place as Jeff, and once the pandemic hit, we started doing it via Zoom. And I hate to say it, but out of bad comes some good. And probably the pandemic actually helped us, because we started using Zoom, and we sound a lot better. And we've been able to get a lot of our guests have been kind of recluse, right?
Available.
They can't go anywhere, right? So they're available. I mean, we had we got Wayne Randazzo, who was the Mets announcer during what would have been baseball season, because he was sitting at home. There are certain people that we've gotten on because of that. But we find that people they love to talk about baseball, barbecue, and we hopefully we make it very relaxing for them, and they like to come on, and we don't grill them with questions that are too hard to answer, and we get some really nice interviews. We've had some fantastic guests.
Yeah, well, I've been listening steadily right along, heard all the improvements, and I think from a host to a host, it's satisfying for me to see somebody who reaches out, ask for some pointers and tips and techniques and stuff, and then see them being implemented, and then not only that, but having it elevate the whole podcast. So from a listenability standpoint, certainly, as you had mentioned, it's become a much better show all the way around. I think you have a real knack at eloquently and easily, without a forceful tact, of pulling information out of people. You have a tendency to endear yourself to folks right away, and so does Jeff. And is it fair to say that Jeff is more of like the baseball expert, and while you're a fan of baseball, you might then be more of the barbecue expert at the same time?
Yes, I think it's definitely fair to say Jeff knows, he could tell you the number of a player. Jeff could tell you who won, the 1977 World Series, or, he definitely knows his stats better. I think that we both are knowledgeable about players, baseball history, but yeah, he's definitely more the stat person. Um, and as far as barbecue expert, I mean, I'm a backyard griller, but I love barbecue. The thing that's funny is when you have a podcast on these two subjects, people kind of consider you to be an expert. Doesn't mean we have to be experts at it. We just love talking about it. The fact that we have these people on that are experts, it is great.
Do you find that when you have somebody that you're bringing on that you feel is going to be more barbecue related, or on the other side of the coin, more baseball related, the opposite happens? The baseball person wants to talk more about the cooking aspect, or the cooker wants to talk more about the baseball aspect?
We have had that happen. As a matter of fact, we had Meathead on, and he was fantastic. And with us, we don't have a lot of returning guests because there's just so many people in the realm. So he's somebody that we are looking forward to reaching out to and having on again. But when he came on, the first thing he wanted to talk about was baseball, and did talk about baseball. And I mean, we had Howard Johnson on, third baseman, for the Mets years ago, 30-30 club, 30 steals, 30 homers, did that numerous times with the Mets. And he is a huge barbecue fan. And he wanted to talk about, his brisket, and did we know of any good recipes for brisket? So yeah, absolutely. We do get that, where you're shocked. You're expecting one thing and you get the other. But that's what makes it fun.
Through the first 4 years of the show's life, who, in your opinion, is the best guest so far? I'll tell you mine here in a second, but I'm anxious to hear who yours is.
Well, I guess my heart is well, there is one that we had on. The sound quality wasn't great. It was right before the pandemic hit. And it was somebody by the name of Greg Rempe. He was on the episode we released on March 21st. That's right. March 21st. I guess people can't see you pointing to yourself because most people are listening in podcast form.
That's
but
right.
March 21st of 2020. You were on, and we were grateful for that. Unfortunately, the sound quality, I'm sure, was not to your liking. But then after that, we started to improve. But I would say probably Bob Kendrick, just because he was the first guest, and the man is he's just incredible. What he does for the game, and just what he's doing for that museum in Kansas City is unbelievable. But and then, of course, we had Doug Scheiding, who has become friend of the show. I'm sorry. Last week he came to my rescue, tried to call from a tornado apparently, but Doug's great, and he's now kind of become like a guest co-host. I think he's been on our show 250 times or something like that.
Yes.
We've had Tim Kirchin was a great interview. Robert Wool, from Arliss fame. He was a lot of fun.
My favorite, I'm going to tell you right now, my favorite.
Go ahead. Yes.
I'm not bashful to say it was unbelievable. I was so impressed that you guys were able to land him. One of my favorite baseball personalities, players, and managers of all time, Bobby freaking Valentine. Holy crap.
Yes.
Now, look.
Yes.
I'm going to sit here and kiss your ass for a minute. I thought for sure I would be able to hear nervousness and tension. This is not your run-of-the-mill hack single-A douche coach. I mean, this is Bobby freaking Valentine. Incredible high school player, incredible pro player, incredible manager, legendary manager. And the way that you guys handled the interview was incredible. A lot of great questions. he didn't seem to be bothered. Like, I was always wondering, like, at what point I heard there was like a time frame that was definitively set at the front of being a sales guy. Whenever that happens, like, you set the timer, and as soon as that hits, you're like, okay, should we finish or do we get some more time? And then you wait for the customer to gauge what you're supposed to be doing at that point. But he seemed to thoroughly enjoy the interview as a whole. But what I thought, evaluating the interview portion from YouTube, he seemed to genuinely like and respect the questions that you guys were asking, so much so that at one point I think you had asked him a question, and he, what I call the guest compliment, says, you know what, that's a really good question. Or maybe it was, you know what, I haven't been asked that. It was one of those, things where I know right off the bat, this isn't something that he hears all the time. This is something that has impressed him because you dug deep. You asked something that somebody, doesn't usually ask. And that's like an impromptu or an involuntary way of a guest to say, hey, you're doing a really good job right now, without saying that, without knowing that they're saying that. I thought you guys did a masterful job with Bobby Valentine.
Thank you very much. And that was, that was one of those, we have someone that helps us get phone numbers and email addresses, and he likes to remain under the radar, so I never bring his name up, but he's a big help to the show as well. I think sometimes what happens with these guys is they come on not expecting us to, we're fans, and I'm not afraid to tell someone how wonderful I think they are because I'm being honest with them. But at the same time, they're just people. And also the thing with Bobby Valentine was, a lot of people have heard the stories over and over, the same stories, but there's so much more to him. And you do a little research. And I think the question you're referring to is when I asked him, because he was injured a lot. I mean, this was a guy who was an incredible athlete. If he didn't have these injuries, he could have possibly been a Hall of Fame player. But he's also known as being an incredible manager.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked him, if he wasn't, if he didn't have these injuries, would he have then, does he think he would have gone into managing? And I think that was the question that made him give pause. And he said, that's a really good question. But we also asked him about, he was a ballroom dancer. He was like a champion ballroom dancer.
World champion ballroom dancer. Wow.
And who knows that, right? I mean, that's not something that you think of Bobby Valentine. So we like to get to ask the guests questions, things that they're not going to just talk about all the time. And it doesn't have to be something that's controversial. It's just something that is unusual or, that people want to know about. So I really appreciate what you're saying. That was a lot of fun to interview him.
Guy the Cooking Sam is coming in with this question. I don't know if you can see it scrolling down. Lenny Dykstra is fun. Is there any way we're going to get Nails on the show, Len? Any way we're going to get Nails on baseball and BBQ?
Jeff and I have a bucket list, okay? And I'll tell you, at one time you were on that list, but you are now, we got to you. And so Lenny Dykstra is definitely on that list. We're going to reach out to him. He's done with the Howard Stern show, apparently. I mean, I haven't heard him on there recently.
Does that give you a pause to know how his appearances were on the Howard Stern show? Or do you think that that's just a personality that he is putting on, and if he was on baseball and BBQ, you would get a more reserved and professional Nails?
You know what? I think it gives Jeff pause maybe a little bit. But I'm like, hey, yeah, if he's going to be like that, whatever. I mean, if that's who he is, that's who he is.
Do you know why? Because you're a Bobcat, Len. That's right. You're Ohio University Bobcat, goddammit.
Exactly. But we had on Barry Lyons, former catcher for the Mets, and he's a very religious man. And while we had him on, he did a lot of proselytizing, but it was but it wasn't. It was. I think it added to the interview because it showed his personality. It was who he was. It wasn't like he was trying to convert us, but at the same time, you saw that his faith was so important to him. So I think that the way somebody is, whether, Lenny Dykstra is going to be the way he is on the Stern Show. I mean, look, he hits on Robin Quivers all the time, right? I don't think he's going to hit on either of us. So I think, but I'm willing to take the chance. And if he is that way, that's fine. If he's not, it's fine too. But I would definitely, Sam the cooking guy, if you could get us Lenny Dykstra, I will get more people to subscribe to your channel. All right.
Who's number one on the bucket list right now that we need to cross off?
Whew. I really want to get Willie Randolph.
Oh, wow. Really?
Not that I think that he'll.
Not
sorry?
Dave Winfield?
No, I mean,
Greg
yeah, I'd like
Nettles,
to get Dave Winfield.
Goose Gossage,
Yeah,
Ron Guidry, Dave Righetti.
George Brett.
Yes.
George Brett's on the bucket list. Yes.
I bet I could help you get George Brett. I know Meet Mitch. They're like neighbors in Kansas City.
Then I would appreciate that.
I could probably make that.
The thing about thank you. All right. That'd be great. The thing about Willie Randolph that I just matter of fact, we interviewed a guy, Eric Sherman, last night, who's an author. And he knows Willie Randolph. And I said to him, I'd like to get Willie Randolph on. I just want to tell Willie Randolph what a raw deal I feel he got from the New York Mets. I think he got a raw deal. And the fact that he never got to manage again, I think sucks. So, can I say sucks on your show,
yes.
Greg?
Yes, you can swear, too, in front of it if you want to really hammer your point across. It's up to you.
No, I know. I'm a listener. I know. But but I know that I just want to get Willie Randolph. I mean, obviously, we'd want him for more than 5 minutes, but I want to be able to tell him that. So he's on the bucket list. But yeah, George Brett is definitely on the bucket list. Dave Winfield would be great. But we don't need to get name players either. We have on we had Mark Littell. Now, Mark Littell played for Kansas City, actually played with George Brett. Mark Littell has a company now. They make protective cups. The name of the company is Nutty Buddy. Okay. He takes fastballs from a pitching machine right to the cojones, okay? Using Nutty Buddy. All right.
Product testing to its ultimate level. Holy moly.
Exactly. We had him on, and he was fascinating. He was great. We've had Kurt Bavacqua on. Okay. Another just great interview. We don't need to have a guy. Yeah, it's nice, of course. It helps our numbers, of course, because you get more listens for the episode. But it doesn't have to be someone with a big name. These guys have great stories to tell, and we just love talking to them. Baseball or barbecue. I mean, we've had great barbecue guests as well,
Len Aberman joining me here on the show. You can subscribe to their podcast, Baseball and BBQ, on all the podcast platforms. Last question before I let you go tonight, Len. What's the best bar, in your opinion, on Court Street in Athens, Ohio?
Oh, wow. It's been so long since I was there, but the pub, gotta be, right? Because if I remember the food at the pub,
Pub burger was insane.
Yeah, with
and then the
butter
aquarium night with the big fishbowl beer glasses. Look out. There have been plenty of night I don't remember passing out in the pub. I can tell you that. Wow,
Yeah.
All right. Len Aberman joining me here on the show, co-host of Baseball and BBQ. You can find him on all the podcast platforms. So if you like baseball and barbecue or them independently and might learn to like the other side of that if you don't know it keenly, subscribe to the podcast and get together, Len. Really appreciate the time and the insight, and we'll have you on again soon.
Thank you very much, Greg. Appreciate it.
You got it. There he is, Len Aberman, right there, the co-host of Baseball and Barbecue. Great info. Great insight. Love when guys have a passion for something, turn it into a podcast, and then they could make it live for longer than 6 months in a year. Not only that, because there's a lot of crap that has lived for longer than a year, but have refined the process. There's plenty of podcasts out there that sound just as crappy as they did from day one and seem to have no desire to fix it at all, ever. Baseball and Barbecue, not one of them. Stepping it up. So we wish them continued success. Len Aberman, Jeff Cohen. Jeff taking it at the beginning of that interview. Unmerciful. How dare we? Let me talk to you quickly about Primo Cookers before we get to the open segment. And if you want to call in on the open segment, you're certainly more than welcome to do that. 216-220-0966. You can also weigh in through email if you want. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Primo Cookers. The website first, primogrill.com. That's primogrill.com. Here's the key differentiators from what's currently existing in the ceramic market. Well, everything else we know out there right now is round. Primo is oval in shape, patented oval design offering true two-zone cooking technology, offering more than 60 cooking configurations. 60, not 16, 60. Quality products that are made right here in the United States. Precision-controlled manufacturing, highest quality ceramics used in the industry. For some new product updates on 2021, what I've been telling you about the last couple weeks. Arriving in showrooms this spring, a new easy lift hinge reduces force to lift the grill head by 70%. Precision control top and bottom air control, allowing for easy and accurate settings each and every time. You can also have upgrade kits, which are available. You can upgrade your existing Primo with all of these new features. Right now, find your nearest Primo dealer, visit them, get the new lift hinge. Also, get that precision control top and bottom airflow controller. Visit your local dealer, see what they have in stock, buy one or two. Many different sizes, extra large, large. They have a travel size. Look, if you can't wrap your head around an oval size unit, for whatever reason that would be, they still offer a round one too. Should you get a round Primo? I would say get out of your head. Get the oval. You can set up true two-zone cooking. If you can't think anything more than round, they have a round one. Get that. Some websites and other things. primogrill.com, as I had mentioned earlier. You can follow them on Instagram, Primo Ceramic Grill. You can also follow them on Facebook, Primo Ceramic Grills, plural. That's primogrill.com. We are back with an open segment. Your participation is encouraged if you're so inclined. Otherwise, we'll see you here in just a few short seconds. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Celebrating over 10 years of prolific and unparalleled live fire barbecue and grilling talk. And yes, it's still being done from Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Smithfield. Two different websites, smithfield.com to get grilling tips and tricks this season from Chris Lindley, Darren Worth, Ernest Cervantes, Charles Cridland. Smokin' with smithfield.com to enter your first place rib and pork finishes throughout the course of this competition year. Brag all around, especially if you're a committed cook. Smokin' with smithfield.com, or for recipes and tips, smithfield.com. 216-220-0966. If you want to jump in on the show at this point, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com as well. I have some breaking news.
A Barbecue Central Show exclusive news update.
Greg Rempe reporting from the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio, the city that is breaking all of the breaking news, and it is breaking across the country, the world. By the way, Diane, you might want to tune out. This is the book I was talking about. I'm prepping you. Are you ready? I'm like Bob Barker. I'm starting, I'm stopping. I'm starting, I'm stopping. Forget about it. Some breaking news right now. The horse meat book of a generation has found its way into my very hands over the past couple days. And I am giving peace and love.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Peace and love. and thanks to show friend, sometimes contributor, Stover Harger III for sending it to me. Stover, we love you. Love you. It very well might be the only copy in circulation today. It is entitled, for your listening pleasure, Processing, Cooking, and Buying Horse Meat for Human Consumption. Think I'm kidding? I'm not. Here's the book. Right here. And if you didn't notice, that's how much it cost. 25 cents. If you think that this is some kind of joke, no. There's text right here. Oh, look. You might be saying, hey, Greg, that's hardly a book. It looks like a few white papers strung together. Well, look, there's a binder there. There's back. There's cover. There's an inside right here. Copyright 1952, if you can handle it.
What?
I said 1952. This is a real publication brought to you by the wisdom of Leon Kenny. Now, you might not know anything about Leon Kenny. Let me bring you up to speed on Leon. Mr. Kenny, by the way, as I read to you, this was dated back in 1952. Mr. Kenny, a freelance writer and former newspaper man. Like, if you said that nowadays, newspaper man, to like anybody 25 years or younger, 30 years or younger. If you said, oh yeah, my dad's a newspaper man, do you think the next thing out of somebody's mouth would be, what the hell is that? What's a newspaper man? What does that mean? Anyway, Mr. Kenny, a freelance writer and former newspaper man, is at the present time actively engaged in the retail horse meat business. Because it was a thing in 1952. His book is the product of nearly a year of intensive research into the correct methods of processing, cooking, and buying horse meat for human consumption. Gang, you didn't think it was real. You thought I was nuts in a kook. There's a book, and it's right here. Right here. For back then, a whopping quarter. So what I thought would be a grand idea, and it's not that I want to keep Diane me away from the show. Absolutely not, and I say that with peace and love, Diane.
Peace
I don't want you to
love.
leave. But I thought, hey, this book is just about my length, numbering in almost 17 pages. And I don't even know if these qualify as pages because they're not as like long, dimensional as a regular book page. But for the sake of argument, because most of you are listening through podcast anyway and not seeing the video of what this book looks, it's like a little mini book, a kid's book. 17 pages, almost 17 pages of text, no pictures. There does appear to be blood of some sort. Maybe Leon Kenny was using this while like physically. Well, I mean, look at that. There's a huge stain there. Wow. On page 11. What's going on page 11? So I thought it would be a dandy idea if over the next handful of weeks, by the way, programming note, don't forget, in 2 short weeks, American Idol's second season Barbecue Central Show edition is happening. My song is cut and in the can, as they say, along with John Solberg. I believe Doug Scheiding has taken a couple swipes. I don't know where Rusty Monson's at. By the way, returning to defend his title, the pitmaster of Dead Broke Barbecue and the creator of said YouTube channel, Jeff Rice, will also be back. Notwithstanding that, I thought after Stover sent me this Processing, Cooking, and Buying Horse Meat for Human Consumption book, why not over the next handful of weeks, Grandpa Rempy read the children a few passages in this book? Why not? Get everybody excited. Hey, everybody excited? Maybe I should read it as Harry Carey. I think I'm going to. Hold on. Let me go on over to the Grandpa Music. So I said, hey, why not read a couple passages every week until we blast through page 17? Could take 17 weeks from now. You got anything better to do over the next 17 weeks than listen to a passage or two from the preeminent book on the class subject, Processing, Cooking, and Buying Horse Meat for Human Consumption by Leon Kenny? No, you don't. Don't even lie. You have nothing better to do. We're still under COVID quarantine to a degree. So you got plenty of time, Jack. Just sit back, relax, and listen to what's happening over here. Now, turn this off. I don't want to be distracted at all. Allow me to read the first passage for you, if you will allow me the opportunity. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Story Time about horse meat. Yeah. Passage number 1. What this book is about. Okay. America is a nation of meat eaters. A nation where the Sunday roast is as traditional as apple pie. But today, with beef prices at astronomical all-time highs and quality correspondingly low, the Sunday roast has rapidly disappeared from the American table. Hey! That's a disgrace. Okay. It has been replaced with all manner of substitute. Dishes concocted with eggs, cheese, macaroni, hot dogs. In some homes, however, where the economic pressure is greatest, or the spirit more daring, the Sunday roast has reappeared on the table. Success. But instead of good time-honored all-American beef, it's horse meat. In many other homes, distraught housewives forced to deprive their families of the nutritional value of a diet rich in meat and meat products regard those who enjoy horse meat with a curious yet envious eye. These women. What? In 1952, they're starting book chapter with these women. I continue. These women find it difficult because of sentiment, prejudice, or lack of factual information to accept the idea of horse flesh as human food. Hey! And frequently, once having conquered their aversion and tried the meat, they have been keenly disappointed in the result. Oh no! They find the meat tough, rubbery, and dry. This is what this book is about. It is about the proper method for processing, cooking, and buying horse meat for human consumption. For horse meat is not beef. What? I said horse meat is not beef. It cannot be bought like beef, cooked like beef, handled like beef, or eaten like beef. Because I'd be crazy. If it was beef, it would be called beef horse, not horse. In this book, you will find sections devoted to the nutritional value of horse meat, or a comparison of the various cuts for this tender and flavorful with instructions for cooking, a chapter on the proper processing techniques in the meat market, a discussion on seasoners, marinades, and tenderizers, and an analysis of the composition of horse meat and how this affects the cooking of it. That's right, everybody. That's just Passage 1. Passage 1. Cubs win. Cubs win. Well, hopefully everybody enjoyed that particular passage. Absolutely. Harry Carey making a reappearance to the show after many, many years of absence. Who knows what that could lead to? And the good news is this, gang, there's only 16 more pages left.
What?
I said 16 more pages. Plenty of weeks of horse meat education coming your way. And back in 1952, you could pick it up for only a quarter. Don't take any wood nickels back then, but you could have gotten it for just a quarter, believe it or not. Also, speaking of the Barbecue Hall of Fame a little earlier with Meathead, I have some information in that regard, some programming notes to pass along. For the second year in a row, if you can believe it, we will announce the 9 semifinalists live. I said live here on this show.
We'll do it live.
That's right. We'll do it live.
Do it live.
Right, Bill.
I'll write it and we'll do it live.
All right. We will announce the 9 semifinalists live right here on this show. Yes, we'll do it live on a special live edition of the Barbecue Central show on May 5th. Then, notwithstanding that, a few weeks later on the 20th, we will have the third year running Hall of Fame members announcement. That also will be a live show.
We'll do it live.
We will do it live. Also, we will announce the names that make it into the legacy class of 2021 as well. So all of them will be going in at the same time. So mark your calendars now. Those will not be on Tuesday, as a matter of fact. I'm going to help you out right now. We are in April, so May 5th is a Wednesday, following it up on the 20th, and now that could be the 26th. I'll have to double check that. Give me 1 second. Let me type Emily Park's name into the Googles so I can pull it out. All right, I was incorrect. So it's going to be the 5th of May for the 9 semifinalist announcement, and then 1, 2, 3 weeks after that, on the 26th, we will be announcing the actual class of the Barbecue Hall of Fame, both legacy and voted on members. So from that semifinalist of 9, 1/3 will make it in. So mark your calendars for the 5th and the 26th of May, both Wednesdays, both live show, in addition to the live show the night before on Tuesday. Very exciting. Lastly, I want to pass along some Green Mountain Grill news / controversy.
A Barbecue Central show exclusive news update.
Continuing to break the most live fire news that anybody breaks on a consistent basis. It is Greg Rempe reporting from the Breaking News Desk here in Cleveland, Ohio. Look, there's a link going around. It's a legitimate link, by the way. I'm getting ready to pull it up and show you here on the web, or here on the live feed if you're watching it. If you go to Costco.com, you've heard of Costco, right? I'm sorry. If you go to Costco, you will see a Green Mountain Grill Jim Bowie Prime Plus available for sale. You have to sign in to see the price, for members only. And there was plenty of scuttlebutt going on Facebook going, hey, when did Green Mountain Grill throw the dealer network concept out in the garbage, and now they're pulling through big box stores? They said they would never do such a thing. Blah, blah, blah. Well, not jumping on the bandwagon before I had all the information. I, of course, reached out to top men in the industry, that being Jason Baker, and he has confirmed with me 100% that these units are not.
Andrew, you are not the fire.
These units are not being sold by Green Mountain Grill corporate to Costco. They are not pulling through Costco. They, as a corporation, have nothing and no relationship with Costco. Have they talked a bunch of times? Do they probably know each other? I'm sure. Business people talk. However, that is not the avenue they have ever been a part of. That is not the avenue that they are taking. There is no corporate relationship between Green Mountain Grill's allowing Costco to sell grills through their web presence. What you are seeing in that link, and here it is again, is a rogue dealer that has been set up. The dealer has decided to go rogue and list on Costco.com, and they are selling. Now, Green Mountain Grills is working through back channels to eliminate all of that. This is not a Green Mountain Grill deciding to go against the core principle of selling through their established dealer network, as I had said. That is still how they are operating. That is still how they feel business is best to continue for them. They will continue to build that network out because they feel that Green Mountain Grill representatives educating a dealer who then in turn educates the customer is the best way to go. Gives them the opportunity to remove any buyer's remorse, gives the customer a level of satisfaction and the knowledge to get home and have success right out of the box, thus limiting returns. You buy it online, you don't like it once, fuck it, I'll just return it. That's it. When you educate folks, when they put in the time and effort to build the dealer network, which I do believe in as well, by the way, my daytime company is a dealer for a manufacturer, Peterbilt. I work for a dealer. So I get it. They send people to us, educate us. We then educate our customers. Same principle right here. So they feel that educating the dealer, who in turn educates the customer, is the best way to go. You can go back and listen to past episodes of Jason and I talking about that specific subject and business mind thought on past episodes of the show and why they don't go into the big box stores if you want to hear it more in depth. So you need to know something if you are going to go ahead and buy through the Costco website anyway, for however long that's going to remain up. And believe me, time is ticking. If you buy one of these units on this website right now, the Costco website, or through the Costco website, there's a very good chance that if something happens to that unit because it wasn't purchased through legitimate channels, that it will not be covered under warranty if something goes wrong with it. So keep that in mind. If you feel like you're getting over on somebody or you don't have to go through a dealer in order to buy this Green Mountain Grill Jim Bowie Prime Plus, put a little bit more thought into that. If you want to buy a cooker whose warranty is going to be voided because of how that rogue dealer is deciding to sell it, I would caution against it. It's your money. It's free will. It's capitalist society, all that, whatever. I would advise against it. But it's certainly up to you. But know this. This website on Costco.com is not Green Mountain Grill corporate pulling through Costco for sales. That is not what's happening. That's not what... What? That is not what's happening here. They are continuing to hold to the core principle of developing a dealer network. All right. Let me quickly talk to you about the restaurant challenge that is going on through Certified Angus Beef still. Very easy to take part in. Hashtag restaurant challenge 3 ways. Grab takeout, dine in safely, if that's an option, or purchase gift cards from your favorite restaurant. Then share your favorite restaurant moment on social media using the hashtag restaurant challenge and enter for the chance to win. 10 social media users will be nominated and then randomly selected to receive a $100 gift card to dine out again. How about that? Now, if you tag your favorite restaurant in the post, that restaurant will now be randomly, potentially selected to win a $2,500 gift card of their own that will help in direct support of that restaurant's staff. So not only do you get a chance of winning $100, by the way, it's 10 of them. You get a chance to win 1 of 10 $100 gift cards if you just use the hashtag restaurant challenge. And if you tag the restaurant, they have the opportunity to win a $2,500 direct support gift card for their staff. It's great. Very easy. Grab takeout, dine in where safe, or purchase a gift card. Share the restaurant moment using hashtag restaurant challenge, then tag the restaurant. You could win $100. The restaurant could win $2,500. It's a win-win. Let's wrap up the show. What do you say? Stick around. We'll be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs. injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Vortic Watches, a small batch custom watch manufacturing and vintage restoration company located in Northern Colorado. They take antique American pocket watches and turn them into wrist watches. Their mission, preserve and enhance the legacy of manufacturing excellence in America. In order to do that, they combine traditional and cutting-edge technology to create unique quality, functional timepieces with exceptional value. Here's the coolest part. Each watch that they make is a unique, one-of-a-kind timepiece. Vortic, founded on the motto that America wasn't assembled, it was built. You can check out their watches, and they do have a watch a day for sale each and every day during the business week. VorticWatches.com. All right, let's go ahead and break out. All the way back in the first hour, we talked with Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. Second hour, Len Aberman, co-host of Baseball and BBQ Podcast. You can find them on all of the podcast platforms, so if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that. And then we had open segment where we began passage readings of the Processing, Cooking, and Buying Horse Meat for Human Consumption book, written by Leon Kenny. By the way, if you Google him, he really doesn't come up, so don't go looking to start a fight with somebody that wrote a paper in 1952. But I'll continue to read passages each and every week because it's fun. Big show planned for you next week. It's the third Tuesday, so we got Stephen Reichlin coming up. We have I believe we have Jess Pryles coming up next week, now that I think about it. Yeah, her first quarterly visit of the year. Plenty of other things going on as well. September 11th, 2001, I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.